are, how much they're like, we've been telling you for years now that we don't want this. We don't want you to just keep allowing our country to be the dumping ground for the unwanted of the EU.
Yeah.
No matter how much all these protesters are saying this, then the Garda and the DAO are just doubling down on it and declaring, oh, they're just all, hyper right-wing racists. And they just,
that's what literally all the articles are about. All the articles are about the reaction to what happened and not about what happened. Right. There was another one today, a 21 and a 22-year-old, 21 and 22-year-old military age men, knifed up a guy outside a bar. Right? And they were both immigrants, but they were both arrested right away. Don't get me wrong. They were arrested right away, but they didn't come over with families.
Yeah. Cause and that's the thing, and I keep telling people, like, if this was like legitimately a refugee crisis that Europe was responding to, right? If it was an actual refugee crisis and it was actually people fleeing violence and things in the Middle East, then you would see, boatloads of families. You would see boatloads of women and children and, and old men, and you'd see all of that, but you don't. You see almost exclusively military age males packing these boats and showing up. And then Europe's going, the EU's like, oh, well, we can't say no to these poor people, but what do? It's not in my backyard, right? So then they ship them all to Ireland, and they're like, oh, we'll just ship them all to Ireland, it'll be fine over there. And then they do this crap. And it's been going on. Like, crime has been getting worse and worse and worse for years in Ireland, and it hasn't been the native Irish that have been doing it. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like, Irish people will absolutely stab each other, that's totally a thing.
Yes, that's
that is definitely a thing. Yeah. But that isn't.
But that's like a level 4 or 5 reaction, though. Right? There's a lot of things they'll do before that.
Yeah, and one thing that's off limits is women and children, and then these, this Algerian immigrant then proceeds to stab multiple children and then school staff members in broad daylight outside of the school. And, and it's been between 75 and 80% of the Irish population that has been saying that they do not want immigrants being just shipped over, and pointing out the same thing, that it's all military age men and this should stop.
The one person that the media focuses on from stopping what happened was the Brazilian immigrant, right? Who's been there for like 20 years. Right. But he didn't show up until after they had already got the knife away from the guy and had the guy like mostly subdued. And then he showed up and hit the guy with his helmet.
Yeah. And then they go, oh, look at what a hero. Yeah. But he didn't do anything.
He got like 300,000 pounds donated to him. Right. Not the guy in the hospital that was stabbed trying to stop the guy. Right. Not the other guy that got cut and like he got his shirt cut and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like, no, it's the outsider, the non-native, right? That's who gets. That's who they give $300,000 worth of donations to.
Well, and I mean, it's been years that the true story of like the Irish Revolution and the Civil War and stuff has been getting watered down and watered down and watered down and watered down in Irish education. It's been. And they're starting to talk about dropping the requirement, that you no longer have to pass a test, no longer are they going to include a test on your ability to understand Irish and things, in school, and like they're going to drop that, and it's all about, and you look at that little friggin' leprechaun of a sorry sod that was the last freaking president, and and versus even this
Indian born,
the current one I think is, or something like that.
No, the current one's not. The current one's Irish, but he's like,
is he?
He's like a full blown socialist.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, socialism unfortunately has been a big thing in Ireland for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the
Most of the raw, yeah.
raw are
Mhm.
socialist. But the thing is though is that like it's it's about community and it's about Irish community
Mhm.
in Ireland for the Irish, and that's the thing that the Raw's been about this whole time. And they've
Mhm.
also been warning everybody, like, if you keep letting this happen and you keep giving in to the EU's demands that Ireland simply play host to all of the garbage from the continent, then you're going to wind up where we don't have a homeland anymore
And
because
not,
you
but
gave it
like
up.
Ireland, I think Ireland's like the one country that it's in its constitution, right? That it doesn't use military force to attack, right? Something along those lines is what it was.
Yeah, we're not allowed to wage any aggressive war
Yeah.
constitutionally.
So so Ireland hasn't created any of these issues that these people are running from, but Ireland has become the dumping ground for the backlash for all the issues that the British Empire and the US and Germany and all this foreign intervention has created.
Well, I mean, yeah, and the immigration issue and that that whole thing of just this massive
Mhm.
flood of military age Middle Eastern males into
Yeah.
Europe
Middle
that the
Eastern and North
EU just
African,
let
yeah.
in. That's part of what led to Brexit. That's
Yes.
part of why Britain left the
Mhm.
EU, was because of that, because they weren't being allowed to say no. And more than 3/4 of the Irish population does not want these
Mhm.
immigrants. More than 3/4 of the Irish population is so sick and tired of, because what's happening is the Irish government does not have much money.
No.
Never has.
No.
And yet all of these native Irish are getting told, sorry, we can't afford any of your national health service. We can't afford this. We can't afford that. We can't afford this extra housing. We can't afford to, improve any of these tenements, blah, blah, blah. And yet they're putting all of these immigrants into like 4-star hotels
Yeah,
and keeping them in 4-star hotels.
they're building 4-star hotels in teeny tiny little towns,
Well,
right?
they're
They're
not
like they're
even just doing that.
one of the ones that we talked about before, or you and I talked about before, not on the show. We didn't talk about it, but they built a 4-star hotel with like 100 rooms or something like that, in a town of like 1,200 people. Right, it was supposed to house like 400 immigrants or 250 immigrants, and then like 400 max or something like that. Like, like what that's going to do to this teeny tiny little town, like 5 miles from nothing else.
Well, and on top of that, like, they're actually tearing down like public
Uh-huh.
housing that was
Yes.
built years and years ago. They are
Mhm.
tearing that down to
Yep.
make way for improved public housing, not for native Irish.
Improved. Yeah.
Yeah, but not for native Irish. These are brand new buildings with brand new facilities for immigrants.
Mhm.
And not just immigrants, right? It's not just like people who are moving into Ireland. These are people that are being shipped
Mhm.
from
Yep.
Italy and Greece because they're flooding in, that are being shipped across the continent to Ireland, and they're almost all Middle Eastern and North
American
African
military age men.
military age males.
Yeah. No.
That's not immigration. That's not a refugee crisis. That is an invasion.
Yeah, I mean, to put it in context to American history, look what they did to the Native Americans, right? The Western expansion, uh, uh, absolute military, military campaigns, when the Native Americans fought back, and then they took the Native American kids and sent them to Catholic schools and boarding schools and beat them when they used their own language, right? They systematically tried to kill the culture, right? Because once you kill a culture, you conquer a people. That's what's happening in Ireland. Is the culture of the raw, the culture of the culture of the resistance and of standing alone and taking care of your neighbor um and all of that, right? Like when you think of traditional Ireland, that's what you think of. It's being systematically devastated, literally blown apart. Like it's leaking out of Ireland, like that little girl's blood.
Yeah, well, and and on top of that too, like there was that rapper, right, who's a North African immigrant
Yes.
who basically did a video talking about how, oh well, nope, the
Wearing
black people are
wearing a
invading
wearing a
Ireland.
wearing an Irish flag shamag, by the way.
Yeah. And saying, well, it's time for the Irish to leave Ireland and give it over to us. But he posted it from his personal account, right? So he's got his rapper account and then he's got his personal account. He posted on his personal account on his TikTok and on his Twitter. And there were at least 3 separate Fenian and Hibernian pages who responded with what essentially amounted to "see you soon, bud."
There's, I saw on one of Conor McGregor's posts, somebody commented, "Come out, ye black and tans," has a new meaning, and then somebody responded, "Hiberians are going to change that to get out, ye black and tans."
Yep. Well, and not only that, but like, so they responded with that. There's a whole bunch of people responding with that, a whole bunch of accounts that are known to be directly linked to actual like official announcements from the Ron things.
I've even seen a few of the Sinn Féin ones that are like just a little spicy. Just a little. I know they're really milquetoast now. But some of them have just a little bit of spicy language where you can almost feel it. It's a little salty.
Yeah, well, and so they all responded, and his response was to completely delete his personal Twitter that he'd originally posted it on. His TikTok is still up, or at least was as of yesterday. And he's probably
monetized on Twitter. On TikTok.
Yeah, and his rap page on Twitter now is flooded. Every single post he's had for the past year has hundreds of comments that are the same as what was on that video on his personal account, including a bunch of them doxing him with his real first and last name, his address.
Yep.
Yeah, and saying again, "See you soon."
Yes.
So, like, I have a feeling.
I mean, I'm not going to shed any tears. But
he may be slightly regretting to thinking that he had as much power as he did, because dude, no, the Irish are not the milquetoast Americans.
Well,
okay,
the Irish
you say crap like that.
They are the kings of fuck around and find out.
Well, and like to be like, oh well, the Irish just need to leave. Oh, pal. There's a group that you may have heard of that's been trying for 900 years to kick the Irish out of Ireland, and you should probably read some history books on how that went for them.
You should just respond with that quote to Margaret Thatcher, right? Margaret, you have to get lucky every time. We only have to get lucky once.
Yep, we only have to be lucky once.
You see, there's calls for Conor McGregor to run for prime minister.
Oh, he should. That would be fucking amazing.
He does have fuck you money, right? So he can do what he wants because he has fuck you money once he sold Proper 12, right? Which was like fucking 500 million pounds or whatever it was. So he has fuck you money.
Yeah, he could easily run, and he'd probably win. And he should run as a Sinn Féin candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be great.
Just in the Irish accent. Say that again, Joe Biden. Say it again.
Yeah. But you'll notice that like the American media is being super silent about everything that's going on in Ireland right now. They're not talking about it. They're not really mentioning it.
No, there's no mention of it at all. The only you don't see anything about what's happening in Ireland. The only like immigration stuff that you see here is like New York City and Chicago and the buses, right? Yeah. And buses and flights. That's all that you see here, right? And it's all like pro-immigrant, like, oh, the federal government really needs to give them more money, right? And New York, like Adams just cut like 10% of the budget from like the fire department and the New York police and like 4 or 5 other city-wide programs, and he goes, hey, we need the money for the immigrants. Blame the federal government. It's their fault. Which he's not wrong.
Yeah,
but
but
he's
like
wrong. He's right for the wrong reason.
what I love about it is that whole busing them, all to these, these sanctuary cities that have been acting like all of the states on the southern border are just so horrible for being like, seriously, this is an invasion. We can't possibly deal with something. There needs to be a way that we can deal with this in a more reasonable manner, and
Yep.
and like stop acting like we just hate people. Like it's not that we hate people. Like this is, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people showing up. What am I supposed to do? There's no way I can deal with this. And so then when they got sick and tired of Chicago and New York and Frisco and all these places, like yelling at them and saying, oh, you just don't care about people. So they bust them all up there. And now these places are having their social welfare programs implode.
Yeah, you see
because they can't keep up.
You see the new immigration complaint. I think it was on salon.com. The new complaint is that immigrants are hurting themselves falling from the wall as they're climbing over it.
Well, how about don't climb the wall?
Can we electrify it?
I mean, I'm just going to point out there's this thing on either side of the wall. You can take a boat and just kind of go around. And you don't even have to go far out. Like 10 feet into the water, and you just go around it. I
think it's 40. I think it's 40 feet. I think it's 40, and it depends on the tide, I guess. Depends on the tide.
Yeah. But like you could literally take like an inflatable ducky and manage to get around that wall in a more safe manner. Stop climbing over it, morons. If you're falling from it and hurting yourself, float around. The Cubans figured it out decades ago. All right.
That's how they're getting into southern Italy now, right? Too. The big boats, big 40-man boats, 60-man boats.
And I mean, and I have no problem, and I've said this repeatedly.
Oh, that's in
I
Italy.
have
no real issue with actual immigration.
Yeah,
right? People, like families.
Yeah, if you're a family and you're just like, hey, I'm a victim of American foreign policy, and like I need to get my family out of here to somewhere safe, and it's your entire family, and you're showing up and you're going, help me.
Yeah,
I have no problem with you showing up, right? And then you're going to contribute to society. You're gonna, you're gonna work. You're just looking. You're just a person that's just trying to make a better life for your family. I have no problem with you showing up. That is not who these people are, though.
No. When you're got a boat full of 80 military age men,
and that's it.
Yeah, or 100 military age men. What was it? The one on Italy the other day? It was something like 8,000 people landed on the beach in one day, or something like that. They had like 12,000 people in the holding area. So many people that they got angry and like pushed down the fences and just ran into southern Italy.
Yeah, and and you notice, you look at those photos and you look at all the people climbing off of these boats, right, that the news captures. Count how many women and children, count how many families you see in that group, because the answer is probably going to be 0.
Yeah, you see the pictures, and they're all holding phones in their hands and throwing peace signs. Yeah. So anyway, now that we have burnt our anarchist card for the day. Let's get Andrew really angry by bringing up let's do an update.
Are we gonna actually do the intro first, or
Bipcot, Brandenburg v. Ohio. Hello.
There.
234. Yeah, nobody listens to this show anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, update on the Dexter Wade. Dexter Wade, he was the man in Mississippi that got hit by the off-duty police cruiser, or got hit by the police cruiser, and then they buried him, and then 7 months later told his mom where he was. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that one was just
Okay. Black man who died after he was hit by a police SUV in Mississippi was buried in the Pauper Cemetery without his family's knowledge, even though his state ID was in his pocket, indicating serious effort to cover up the manner of his death, the family lawyers said. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump in a statement said the body of Dexter Wade was exhumed Monday, so this is last week, and that a wallet subsequently found in the pocket of his jeans Wade had been buried in contained his state ID with his home address, his credit card, and his health insurance card.
His home address, which was his mother's address, which means they knew where he lived. They knew where she was.
Yes. So, and they still waited like 6 months. The fact that quote, the fact that Dexter had his state identification card and several other identifying items shown that there was a concerted effort to keep the truth and the manner of his death from his family. There is no excuse, not even incompetence, for not notifying next of kin of an identified man's death.
And it's not even like the off-duty cop that hit him. It's not even like it's that off-duty cop's fault, right? Like that wasn't his fault. He was crossing an interstate on foot. Like, you do that and you get hit, that is entirely on you. You're the idiot who decided to do it. But his poor mother.
Okay. Crump confirmed to the Associated Press that the address on the ID card matched the address of Wade's mother, who said she didn't learn of her son's death until months after he was buried. In addition, Dr. Frank Peretti, who performed the autopsy this week, found that Wade's body had not been embalmed. Peretti concluded that Wade's suffered multiple blunt force injuries and that his left leg had been amputated. Yes, Wade's mom said that they lost her son March 5th after she filed a missing persons report a few days later. But it wasn't until late August that she learned that her son had been killed by a Jackson Police Department vehicle as he crossed Interstate 55. Yeah. So they knew who he was because they knew where he was buried, right?
Yep.
Right. So that says, hey, we know who this person is, but they made no efforts to tell his mom, who asked like literally every week if they had new information.
They told his mom that they couldn't find him. They tried to call her phone number, allegedly couldn't contact her, even though she says that she never got a phone call.
Yes.
And even though they supposedly called her and couldn't get in contact with her, they had his home address and never even went by his home address.
Yeah. No letters.
Nothing.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's pretty clearly, I agree with the family attorneys, it's pretty clearly a concerted effort to cover it up.
Yes.
Which is also, which you know, and her opinion is, and I have to agree with her and her attorneys, that it was revenge because she had filed that lawsuit against that same police department.
For when they killed his dad or his brother or his uncle or whatever it was.
It was his uncle, yeah, her brother. Yeah. But, you know, and that's the thing, is like... Yeah, he was hit by a police cruiser, right? Yes. On the interstate that you are not supposed to, like, no reasonable human being would even walk across.
It's Highway 55. It's not a big federal interstate.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, you're on a highway.
It's a rural 2-lane highway.
But like, he got hit walking across a highway, which everyone knows is dangerous. Mm-hmm. And if you're traveling at 55, 60 miles an hour down a highway and you somebody suddenly in the middle of the road, you might not see them until it's too late. And like, it's not that cop's fault. Like, the dude shouldn't have been on the road, right?
Yes. The dude had issues. There's no argument about that. He had a prescription in his pocket with his name on it. Right. So they know and again, they know who this family was because of the previous lawsuit.
But I mean, it's not even like they're covering it up because the manner of his death was shady or anything. They're literally just doing it to hurt her. That's it. It's not because they're worried about anything. It's just to hurt her. They went out of their way
Yes.
to cover up the death of this man. Hurt her. They hurt the mother, hurt his daughter. Because despite how, screwed up he was, he still managed to be a father to his daughter and everything.
Mhm.
And she wanted to know when dad was coming home. Had they found dad, what was going on for months? Not because of even like it was a shady death, solely just because they knew that not knowing where he was going to hurt her, and it was revenge.
Yep. No. Yeah, we don't need to go into any more on that. Let's see. I don't know. There's no segue on that one, I guess, right?
I don't really see how he'd segue into any of the other articles, to be honest with you. That one.
Let's see. Oh. Okay, we go this one. Okay. Concerted effort to keep things hidden, blah 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 blah. Right. The Pentagon failed an audit for the 6th year in a row.
No. What?
Yeah. Before we get there, I have to read. I just want to read this one paragraph from an article on MoneyWise. And the fiscal year starts October 1. In the first month, the Treasury shelled out $88.9 billion in interest on its national debt, while the Department of Defense spent $83.4 billion on military program. So now that the national debt, it cost more to pay for the interest on the national debt than they are paying per month on the military programs.
Good God.
Yes. That's
which means your tax dollars are not only not funding any wars, but your tax dollars aren't even truly fully funding what they borrowed to pay for wars.
The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, estimates the debt ceiling package that was signed into law this summer to prevent the national default could result in a $1.5 trillion decrease to the deficit over the next decade. Over the next decade, they're still running $1 trillion a year deficit, but they're going to trim 1.5 trillion over the next decade.
Over the next 10 years, so that's what, $150 billion.
Yeah, $150 billion
a year.
What they're going to cut from the deficit, while it goes up, $1 trillion a year. So over the next decade, it's going to go up 15 trillion. But however, they're going to cut 1.5 from it because they're fiscally responsible now.
I mean, if you operated your money and your spending the way the government does, you would go to prison.
Yes, you would have to run a Ponzi scheme like Bernie Madoff or Social Security.
Yeah, like and the fact that the Pentagon keeps failing these audits, it's like, well, yeah, obviously, because one, they're not going to tell you what they're spending money on, and they're not going to keep it on the books, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's obvious. And two, can you imagine trying to keep track of trillions of dollars?
Yeah.
In an efficient, any kind of like efficient manner, just trillions and trillions of dollars being spent on all this ridiculous crap.
Well, yeah, they gotta pay for all those rubber rafts and half sunk boats to get military age men into Europe.
Somebody has to buy all those surplus Ford trucks and that still have business stickers on the side of them and ship them to the moderate, quote unquote, rebels.
Moderate rebels, yeah. The U.S. military appears unfazed in its inability to count for billions of dollars. On Thursday, the Department of Defense failed its 6th consecutive audit, but hailed its, quote, incremental progress.
We accounted for exactly 12 more pens than we did last time.
Incremental progress, yes. As the Pentagon budget nears a watershed $1 trillion, I think this was at like 987 billion or 976 billion, something like that.
Yeah,
it's up there. As the Pentagon budget nears a watershed $1 trillion, the largest of any federal government agency, it has never passed a single one of the annual audits mandated by Congress. In a press briefing, the Department of Defense said it had no timeline for passing an audit.
What a shock.
Quote, we've heard the same platitudes about audit progress for years, says Julia Glendhill, an analyst for the Project on Government Oversight's Center for Defense Information. Quote, they're meaningless, especially since the Pentagon can't even commit to a timeline for achieving a clean audit.
Nor will they be forced to, ever.
Nor will they be forced to, yes. Former Pentagon Controller Thomas Hacker, now the Secretary of the Navy. Oh, how convenient. Secretary has publicly set a deadline for 2027 for a clean audit, but officials have since distanced the military from that time frame. Quote, former comptroller Harker signaled 2027 back in 2020, but the department has completely rolled that back. There is no incentive to improve.
So he said in 7 years, this is a wing of government with $1 trillion.
Yes.
In spending.
Yes.
He said in 7 years we will be able to pass an audit, and everyone at the Pentagon went, whoa. I mean,
hold on.
That seems a little hasty.
We don't need to act in haste. Yeah. Back in 2017, the audits are conducted, or beginning in 2017, the audits are conducted by the Pentagon Inspector General, along with an independent public accounting firms. The Defense Department is auditing $3.8 trillion in assets and $4 trillion in liabilities. The Defense Department insists that the latest failure shows growth, a claim for which there does not appear to be any evidence. The Pentagon failed as many of its sub-audits this year as it did last year.
Task failed successfully. The moral of the Pentagon.
Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Sy said the audit failure this year, of the audit failure this year, quote, we keep getting better and better at it.
At failing? Yeah, I imagine you probably do.
I picture the old what is it? The old Cosmo and Wanda cartoon, the Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
Timmy. So when Timmy gets an F and there's a little there's a parachute on the back and it's waving, super F.
Yeah.
We didn't just get an F. We got a super F.
Yeah, like it's and that's the thing is like this is, I mean, these people, like, this is, you want to talk about like miniature, right? Like, this is people going, yes, we failed horrifically. There's no path even to us ever successfully passing it. But hey, we failed slightly less than we failed last time.
Hold on. Pentagon Comp Controller Michael J. McCord said during a separate press briefing about the audit, quote, I'll just say that we remain a trusted institution.
By who?
we've made a lot of progress to date.
Who trusts the Pentagon? No one. No one trusts the Pentagon. Even politicians don't trust the Pentagon. That's why they get audited by Congress. Like, no one trusts you. We're a trusted institution. You don't get to just say things and have them be true.
Hold on. Wait, give me 2 seconds. When a reporter pushed back on McCord's claim, he concluded that the number of unmodified opinions, instances when an auditor concludes a financial statement is presented fairly, was unchanged from last year. McCord
better,
said, hold on.
In no discernible way.
McCord said, quote, it was static from last year. but we still believe that we have seen signs of progress that are going to make us more favorable in the future.
Based on
Based on that, they didn't get worse.
I just what is
that's
this
that
is like
that's that glass half full mentality, right? I mean we
this
didn't do worse. Yay, team! Here's a pizza party.
This is like if this was a race team, right? Like your last race, your car crashed 2 laps in and exploded into flames. This year, your car crashed 2 laps in but didn't explode into flames, and you're going, yeah, success.
It made it
No,
it made it 4 laps and exploded.
and explode. Yeah, like no, you still suck. You're still terrible. That is no.
Hold on. Despite these facts, McCord pointed out the subtle forms of progress. Quote, but yes, what I'm talking about is progress sort of beneath the surface of a pass-fail for the entire Army.
I'm going to use that in my next performance review if it's negative at work. Is like, well, yes, it's worse. What's important is that I saw progress beneath the surface of a strict pass-fail.
Yes.
Because that's going to work.
Yes. It's just...
Imagine any private organization attempting to pull this shit.
Enron did.
I mean, they did, and it worked for a few years. And then a few of them went to jail. One of them ran off back to Japan with a stripper.
I think one of them killed himself too.
Yeah, well, I think a couple of them killed themselves. Like there's just, and then on top of that, Biden has increased the budget to the military industrial to the Pentagon.
Yes. They want to add like $86 billion to the budget now.
Yeah. It's just as a shutdown looms yet again.
Yeah, okay. John Clifford or Cliff Baxter was an Enron Corporation executive who resigned May 2021 before committing suicide the following year. Prior to his death, he had agreed to testify before Congress in the Enron scandal.
Gosh, how mysterious.
How mysterious, yes. Whew.
Well, if you ever want to learn more about Enron too, there's a great documentary out there called Smartest Guys in the Room that breaks the whole thing down and exactly what they did and exactly what happened. And if it doesn't sound like the Pentagon to you, I will be surprised. It's just, and they'll never need to pass. And that's the thing, is they'll never need to pass any kind of audit because the people who are truly behind the government.
His suicide is dramatized during the opening credits of Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room documentary.
Yep. Yeah, it's a really good documentary. I really encourage people to watch that one. That one and Dirty Money, that's also on Netflix. It's really, really good. Yeah. But the Pentagon will never need to pass an audit. Like, let's be honest, they're never going to have to, because the military industrial complex is in everything and they're the real power, right? And they get all of their money basically for free through the Pentagon without ever having to actually supply anything. Like, we did that article, remember, a while back, where we talked about how something like 3/4 of all military contractors never actually deliver anything and still get paid
on no bid contracts.
Yeah, on no bid contracts. So it's blatantly this is just wealth redistribution from people who have nothing to the landlords.
That's the circle, right? Is the money goes to the Pentagon goes to the DoD gives it to the military industrial complex. Military industrial complex gives it to senators in the form of lobbying. And the senators vote on giving the military industrial complex more money. or on giving the Pentagon and the military more money.
And meanwhile, all the international security contractors who supply all allegedly supply stuff to the Pentagon just keep pocketing billions and billions of dollars in profits.
Yep. But hey, by 2027, they should maybe, almost, probably, possibly be ready to pretend about a clean audit.
They'll show even more improvement underneath the surface of a strict pass-fail.
Beneath the surface, yes. Beneath the surface of a pass-fail, yes.
While yes, I failed, what's important is that I showed progress beneath the surface of the strict pass-fail.
See, but I tried, sir. That is a drawing of a snake. that has nothing to do with the assignment.
Yes, I needed you to do math, and you drew a pair of stick figures labeled Mommy, Daddy, and Other Daddy.
Who's Jody?
Yeah.
Who's Uncle Jody?
Like, this is...
Oh, God. This is why we can't have nice things.
It's, I mean,
can't have a nice podcast either.
Yeah, it's, well, I mean, like, people want to crap all over the E4 Mafia, but I tell you what, like, they're the most efficient in comparison to the rest of the Pentagon because they get paid jack and they do jack. So,
yep.
But
speaking of the Army sends letters to troops dismissed for refusing COVID vaccine amid military's recruitment woes.
We're real sorry about that. Could you come back?
Yes, the U.S. Army sent a number of former service members dismissed for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine, informing them that they can request corrections on their discharge records, as the military branch reportedly struggles with recruitment 3 years after the onset of the pandemic. The letter, which gained traction on social media, was addressed to former service members and notified of, quote, new Army guidelines regarding the correction of military records for former members of the Army following the recession of the COVID-19 vaccination requirement. So, yeah, you no longer need the jab in order to get into the Army, which is how you can tell that we're going to go to war again.
Yep. That's the other way, is because they finally have like white dudes instead of diversity hires showing up.
Dudes. Yeah, straight white dudes in the military commercials. Yeah,
I love that as soon as that happened,
everybody called it out. And I saw the Marine fighting the dragon commercial again too. And that thing's what, 20 years old now. And they're still getting people with that one.
When the Navy brings back what's his face, that actor with the really deep voice.
Yeah.
when that comes back and you see the accelerate your life thing again, yes. We're going to war in the Middle East again, aren't we?
Yeah. Whee.
Yeah, like I love that, like, everyone's favorite Navy page, by the way, on Facebook that got deleted because so many people from the government complained about it was called Decelerate Your Life.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing though, is like you can tell we're about to go to war again because all of a sudden they're starting to stop worrying about diversity.
PBF is on Telegram, right?
Who?
PBF, Pog Boot Fox. Are you muted? Andrew, are you muted?
Oh, that was weird.
Yep, you're muted.
Apparently, I hit the mute button on my actual mic. Trying to adjust my filter thing. Mm-hmm. Oops. I'm good at stuff.
Yeah, so you were saying about PBF?
Oh, I was saying, they're on Telegram. I did not know that. I'll have to track them back down there and
Yes.
Funny.
It's
Funny.
t.me/pbfcks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check them out. There's some funny memes.
Yes.
One of my favorite shamming memes, the one with the guy in the tricolor, like E4 in the tricolor, like curled up with his hood up in like a locker full of uniforms that are tricolor. So that he blends in.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate shamming level right there. Like, wow.
Yes. Let's see. The Army provided
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think it's funny though that like of course they're like, oh, we actually need people who are actually generally right. Like think about the people who generally join the military, right? Like to serve their country because they're idiots and think that's what they're doing. It's going to be people from rural America who are generally like hyper patriotic and everything else, and most of them refused the vaccine, right? And don't want to take the mystery shot and have no desire to do that.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden that they need these people who are actually going to fight.
Yep.
And actually, like know their way around a gun, and all of a sudden now suddenly they're like, oh yeah, so you know how we kicked you all out? Could you guys come back? Like you don't have to do that thing that you didn't want to do anymore.
That's the way I heard it too. It's similar to that, and it was like they made the comment that the Army transitioned away from boots on the ground to more mechanized and drone heavy, but now they don't want to use drone heavy because of where the wars are.
Yeah.
Right. So they need boots on the ground. They still need the drones. They still need all that good stuff. So they need the video game nerds to sit in the chairs outside Las Vegas. But they also need boots on the ground.
Well, yeah, and the thing is it's like for a while the Pentagon forgot that the way that you hold ground in a war is not with aircraft. Aircraft can't hold ground.
Yeah.
Even tanks can't hold ground, right? Tanks are sitting ducks without infantry.
You see the video, the first person from the Hamas dude running up and setting the grenade on the side of the tank, or the IED on the side of the tank.
You see that? Well, look at Ukraine.
Did it give you like full body? Just fuck.
Well, yeah. As you watch like some of these guys do that stuff, you're just like, oh, because he's just running up and like, oh god, 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 oh god. But you
hear him whispering, "Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar," as he's running.
Yeah. But like there's that story from like World War II that I heard in a vet tell in an interview years ago, where he talked about having been in a middle. I don't think it was the Battle of the Bulge, but I think it was in that general area, and like he's laying down in like a big bomb crater, and the rest of his unit is kind of pulled back, and he realizes why, because a tank pulls up right like in front of him. And just sits there, but like the bomb crater is like half full of the wreckage of what used to be like a garage or something, and he looks over and like sees like a big like cast iron pipe wrench, and because there's no infantry around, even German infantry around at the time, he just crawls up to the tank and like sticks it in like the drive sprocket with like one end up against one of the pins for the track, so that as the tank drives forward, it puts all that torque onto the pin, pops the pin, which he hears go like pee, and then the tank just drives off its own track, and he gets a mobility kill on a tank with a pipe wrench.
Just went flew like a mechanized detent.
Yeah, and he just watched it roll off of its track, and then he jumps up as the German, because obviously the tank crew's like, well, we're sitting ducks, and they climb out of it, and he just holds his gun, and they all just put their hands up like, well, oh well. And he like captures this tank crew, and all he used was a pipe wrench. That is how vulnerable tanks are without an infantry escort. They're complete. So you need infantry, and aircraft can't hold ground they can pound the living crap out of it, but they can't actually hold it. You need people on the ground, and it's like the Pentagon forgot that for a while.
Yeah. Well, I think they got tired of flag-covered caskets showing up on the news. So it's
real bad for propaganda.
Real bad for propaganda. So
unless they, you will know that everything is about to really hit the fan when Toby Keith releases another song.
Oh, Toby Keith's not going to release a song for a while. He's battling stomach cancer. We're safe.
Well, okay, so we should be okay for a little while.
There's still Alan Jackson.
Yeah.
And then there's still a few new ones. Yes, AI robot dogs. Buckshot says, "What about IA robo dogs?" Marines in Palm Springs ordered one off of Amazon and attached a rocket launcher to it, and it did really well.
Yeah, although realistically, that isn't necessarily going to be something that can hold ground, though. Like not really. It's anything that isn't a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of machine guns standing around is not going to hold ground.
But it can make its way across that sniper rally.
It can. I mean, that's one of the things that's super nice about tanks is with a bunch of infantry.
It can carry ordnance into in front of a tank, into a pillbox.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's anybody who's even played and it's not super realistic or anything, but if you've even played, Battlefield, that little tiny vehicles with bombs on them driving at a tank at a fast rate of speed are really hard for that tank to defend itself against. So, realistically, if drone technology and all that stuff continues, I mean, you could theoretically see a world where the majority of casualties in combat are not human beings.
Yep.
It's robots. At which point it becomes a war of dollars, not a war of manpower. And at that stage,
now they have suicide drones, and they have drones, like RC drones, carrying ordnance.
Well, yeah, look at all the videos coming out of Ukraine right now, where you see where they've
dropping
grenades printed,
dropping grenades in trenches.
Yeah, 3D printed grenade droppers and stuff, and they're real small. They're not a heck of a lot larger than the grenades they're carrying, or they'll have already armed mortar shells pointing straight down, and they'll just drop it.
Yep, and even if you were to knock it out of the sky, shoot it out of the sky, it's still dropping ordnance, right? It's still coming down.
Yeah, because the way that they do the grenades is like a little trap door, and they pull the pin on the grenade and shove it into this just PVC pipe so the spoon's held, and then the little door opens. As it comes down, spoon flies, it hits the ground, and then goes off.
Yes, good times.
So, yeah, so
those videos scare the shit out of me.
There's that one of that Russian soldier who's the lone survivor of his unit, where the drones have killed everyone else, and he's begging them not to kill him.
Yeah.
And finally the drone shakes its camera saying, "No, I'm not going to kill you," and flies away.
Yeah. Just that's PTSD from watching videos.
It's terrifying, and it's heartbreaking to see. And regardless of where you sit on who's right and who's wrong, personally, I don't think either side is right in Ukraine, but regardless of where you sit on it, these are human lives that are just being wiped out by flying killer robots
that you can get from Amazon for $80, $100, $200.
Yeah, and some 3D printed parts.
Black Friday sale, 2 for 1.
Yeah. There's a reason why anything larger than X size as a drone, they started requiring be registered with the FAA. And it isn't just plain safety.
Yeah, but it's post-purchase registration.
Yeah, so you already own it. It's just in order to fly it.
Yeah, to fly it. Yeah. To quote Ice Cube, my shit wasn't registered any fucking way.
Yeah.
Okay. We have an Ice Cube reference. We have completed the podcast.
It was a good day, apparently.
It's a good day to be on that end of the drone.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the other end of the drone.
Yeah. Where do we? Oh, let's go to let's see. No, let's see. That one's a good. I'm gonna save that one for the end because spicy. That one is spicy. That one's funny. Ooh, I want to go to this one then. Okay. All right. Hidden article. Hidden article. This is the one I did not send you guys. I purposely did not even post it in the group chat. Right. This is
totally blind.
Yes. Okay. North Carolina strip club patrons might not be able to touch the dancers, but nothing stops the government from seizing the building they work in.
What?
Yes, that's the revealing truth in an eminent domain case out of Wilmington, North Carolina, where the new Hanover County government, which contains Wilmington, is trying to seize the neighboring Cheetah Premier Gentlemen's Club to build what it claims is much needed parking.
So they're going to demolish a thriving business.
Hold on. Let me get there. Once I get there, you'll know. Just let me get there. Quote, the county identified a need to expand parking facilities to better accommodate our citizens when visiting the newly constructed government center. Exercising eminent domain to acquiring the neighboring property is legal and measured step towards fulfilling this need. That is County Manager Chris Codell said in the email statement to Reason earlier this month. The county commission voted to authorize the eminent domain of the Cheetah Club during its late Monday night meeting on November 6th. The resolution authorized the county to spend $2.36 million acquiring the club. Okay, hold on. Conspicuously, the resolution authorizing the seizure of the club wasn't on the commission's agenda and was only introduced in the final minutes of the meeting by Coder. The station also reports that Coder referred to the property only by its ID tax number and didn't mention why the property was being seized other than to say that it was for public use.
He just doesn't like the strip club.
Hold on. That left the owners of both the business and the underlying property blindsided. Property owner Jerry Reed describes the eminent domain resolution as, quote, coming out of the blue. Michael Barber, a lawyer for the owners of the Cheetah Club, likewise said the first time he heard the seizure was early Tuesday morning after the commission's vote. The presence of a, quote, adult business next to the county center of government has caused its fair share of embarrassment. One county commissioner told the local Port City Daily that, quote, the optics have always been an issue. North Carolina State Treasurer Dale Falwell also criticized county commissioners about the office proximity to the strip club after hearing about it earlier this year. So the buildings, the county government buildings, are next to the strip club. And because
they don't like that,
because that's bad optics, because they don't like it, they want to seize the building for a pretty large sum and flatten it to build parking for the government facilities.
So the business already existed. The building was already there. They built their new county building center, their new county center, next to the existing strip club that they knew was there. And then went, oops, this is right next to a strip club. And now they're going to use eminent domain to flatten an existing thriving business because it embarrasses them that they are the idiots who built their county building next to a strip club.
Yes. Okay. Now here's the kicker. The sudden, seemingly serendipitous effort to seize the club has Barber, that's the lawyer, right? Michael Barber, lawyer. Okay. Has Barber speculating that the eminent domain effort has more to do with public appearances than public facilities. Quote, I truly believe that what set this off was State Treasurer Falwell's comment about the government center being built close. So the club was already there. Then they built the new government center close to the gentleman's club. Just as an offhand comment, I think that's what triggered this. Reed, that's the property owner, has offered to let the county use the 74 parking spaces on his property. He noted to local Fox station that the Cheetah Club doesn't even open till 6 p.m.
after government buildings close.
The owner of a bowling alley next door also lets the county use his parking lot.
Why are they not seizing the bowling alley?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's solely because they're embarrassed that they built their building next to the strip club. Strip dozer.
The strip dozer.
Just no.
I don't even.
Just no.
I got some ideas, but we can't talk about those on the air because
I am picturing the paint job that would have, and I don't think I've ever seen a cheetah print Komatsu before.
Next on the stage, Marvina Haymeyer.
Oh, that just, my God. I mean, if it was burlesque, you could do like a whole show. But
the killdozer rolls on the stage as she pops out the top.
Yeah. The other girls, the one could be dressed as Killdozer. The other ones are dressed as like buildings, and you know, and the clothes come. Yeah, you could do a whole thing. You can make it a whole thing.
The gun ports and the dozers shoot out glitter.
You know, but the thing is like this is pretty typical of eminent domain, right? This is why it's a horrifying idea, and why it's, whether you think that there are occasionally times when it needs to be used, and I can't think of a single one where it actually needs to be used, or not. This is exactly why for the good of the public is the realm of tyrants.
Well, and let's go back to the first principle on this one. Why do they want this? Because they built the county facilities next to a strip club.
A strip club that had been there for a long time prior to them building the county facilities, that they were well aware as they went through the planning of building this thing, they were well aware that was there. And they did it anyway.
And everything was fine until somebody from the county pointed out, hey, it's weird to have a county building next to a strip club. A strip club that, again, is not open. Why the county facility is open.
Yep.
Right? Because the strip club doesn't open until 6.
And because it's North Carolina, I guarantee you they don't have any more than just like a name on the outside of the building.
Yeah, there's probably no real advertising other than, the Gentleman's Cheetah or Cheetah Gentleman's Club or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's going to be nothing else there, and it's purely going to be just like a big brick building with the name of the Gentleman's Club on the outside, and that's it. And it's not even open until the county facilities are closed. It's solely because just the knowledge that it is a strip club offends the delicate Christian sensibilities of the Southern Baptists in the North Carolina government. And they have the ability to be tyrants, and they wield this power. Yes. Again, remember that quote from Dune, that it's not that power corrupts, but that power only attracts the corruptible.
Yes. New Hanover County Commissioner Leanne Pierce came out against the use of eminent domain in the case. Quote, I'm an advocate for private property rights. Eminent domain in this case is not something that I would be in favor of, and it absolutely should be the last resort at any time. Yeah. Barber, the lawyer, again, has argued that the seizure of the club would cost the government tens of thousands of dollars in tax revenue, and put the club's 65 workers, some of who are earning above the city's average income, out of a job.
Yeah, they are willing to destroy a massive source of income for the community, and a source of stress relief for the community as well. They're willing to destroy that solely because, if they're doing, and I guarantee you, and here's the thing is, I guarantee you that what will happen if they seize this place is that the building will just sit there with them having done nothing to it for several years, and then they'll sell it off to someone else.
Entirely possible.
Buckshot. It's the the county building where child support is. At least it's not a long walk to work for the single moms. But I mean, that's the thing is, like, this is yet another example of the eminent domain being used for, just because, not for any actual impending, like, needed purpose. Like, it's being used because they can, not because they have to.
Yes.
Like, it's one thing if it's, like an abandoned warehouse that's falling in and poses a major risk to everybody and the owners won't do anything with it and blah, blah, blah. That would be one thing. I'd still oppose it because private property rights, but that would be one thing. It's another when it's an active, thriving business that was already there when you put your county building there. And now suddenly you're like, we need parking. Really? Like, if I'm the attorney for that company, I'm going, okay, well, I'm going to need you to demonstrate in court that you do in fact need additional parking and that it needs to be specifically here. Justify why right here and why you need additional parking and why the parking that you already had planned out for the building that you just built was insufficient and why you decided to make it insufficient knowing that it would be. Because I guarantee you they won't be able to articulate anything in court. And at that point, like, okay, well, you can't articulate why it needs to be this. Why can't it be something else? Take the bowling alley.
Yes.
Or anything else that's around that business or around that county building, which I'm sure is quite a bit of stuff.
Sorry, I'm looking at the Google reviews. trying to find something to talk about, but
Google reviews of the strip club. who goes to a strip club and is like, that was great, I'm gonna leave a positive Yelp? Like, what?
People that wear jeans.
I wear jeans. I don't understand.
To the strip club? Why?
Because I always wear jeans. They're pretty much.
Oh, dude, they show the UFC pay-per-views.
I mean, I think this business needs to be defended.
Absolutely.
Actively defended. Not only does it show UFC pay-per-views, but I can watch UFC pay-per-views with strippers. I see no better way to spend an afternoon.
Their Instagram is fantastic. And they do Toys for Tots. I'm putting that out there.
They even do community service there, and you're going to destroy this business.
Yeah, we need to.
You.
Yeah, I'm not saying we need to go to Wilmington, but this club needs to be defended. This eminent domain is stupid.
I mean, I'm all for somebody making Save the Cheetah Club t-shirts. No, I don't leave Yelp reviews for my strip club. Why would I? Who does that?
Well, he's contractually obligated not to because half the women there are ex-wives or ex-girlfriends.
I mean, not anymore. I've been out of that game for a while, but I just like what. Like you get done, right? Like, oh, that was a great bachelor party. I'm going to make sure that everyone else knows that not only did I go to this strip club, but I enjoyed all of its amenities. Like, what? I mean, generally, when I hear people talk about strip clubs, it's usually to the general effect. I also live in Wisconsin, though, but generally, I hear it generally to the effect of like, hey, don't go there on a Tuesday night because there are things you cannot unsee. That's usually when people talk about strip clubs. They don't usually like, hey, this was a positive experience.
They're wheelchair accessible, too.
What?
Yep. Yep. And apparently they also have, it says, great food offerings and outdoor seating. So there's that too. So
outdoors. What are you going there for a nice dinner? What?
Hey, how do you how are new recruits to the Army exposed to meet their future dependopotamuses if they don't go to the strip club?
I mean, I don't know. Okay, so I've been to one club that did have decent food. I was kind of impressed. And I went to one that had like a friggin' barber in it.
Yes.
Which was weird.
Yes, barber, and they would also do the shave, which was fantastic. And then there was one in San Francisco that I attended on occasion that had a buffet. That was a pretty good barbecue buffet.
Well, barbecue. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
but like
it looked like some of the girls abused the privilege of the free buffet.
Well, you'll have that. Like outdoor seating.
Yes.
Gosh, what would go great with this shrimp cocktail and lap dance? A nice view of the sunset. Like what?
Tiki torches. Oh my god. Tiki torches and mosquitoes.
Like what?
Oh.
Wow.
See, right there. Now that right there, Buckshot, that is a public service.
Snake and strip club blog.
that is a public service. He has it says I've got a review blog for steak and strip club reviews. Yes, absolutely. That is a public service. That and cat videos are what the internet was built upon.
Inquiring minds want to know. For the discerning strip club patron, make sure you check my reviews.
Yes.
Drop
my name at the door and get $5 off.
Dude, how are we not sponsored by any strip clubs yet? Like, I should start asking around. Anybody know a strip club that wants to sponsor
did have
my
that
podcast?
That one friend of Josh's that did a
we did have there is an film actress
adult film actress,
yes, who did a shout out for us, a shout out video for our podcast, which was pretty cool. I'm sure it's still out there somewhere, but yeah, so that happened.
So yes, leave the strippers alone.
Yes.
Leave the strippers alone. They're hardworking single moms.
Don't maybe put on a blonde wig and
college
hide in sheets and cry on a vlog. Leave the strippers alone. Can't you see they're working hard?
Oh, leave the strippers alone. Millions or thousands of new Army recruits depend upon them.
Oh God, 4 miles for oh no. Don't tell me that. I'm gonna write a business plan. No. So you're talking about my dream job. Owning a strip club. You're freaking awesome, man.
There you go. Strip club with a cigar bar in the back.
Dude.
Yeah.
We'd have like jazz night and stuff. It'd be fantastic.
Whiskey on tap.
I don't know about on tap, but yeah, you'd have a bunch of whiskeys and some quality craft.
Well, you could have low bar on tap, right? And then the top shelf.
I mean, I could make that place a classy joint. Not that it would take much to make it classier than it is. Trust me, have been. Oof.
Yep.
You have never seen so many C-section scars.
Do the podcast from the 4 Mile?
Oh, YouTube would have a problem with that.
Pornhub?
I mean, yeah, we could put it on there.
OnlyFans?
I keep threatening to do an OnlyFans, but it's just me talking about history.
Free Talk Live did a couple episodes of with just the girls that were topless, and they did that over on Odyssey or Rumble or whatever it was.
I mean, I guess we could do it. It's
That's fine.
But that the problem is 4 Mile is absolutely in the middle of nowhere, so I'm sure the internet connection is garbage.
You just won the lottery. I mean, you might as well get high speed added there.
Yeah, I mean, in that case.
Yeah. So okay, let's now that we're getting all pumped up, I guess. Is that the segue?
It's an upsetting segue, but yeah.
Okay. Pumped up. Who's leading the effort to stop blue state drivers from pumping their own gas?
I mean, it is a threat to public safety, allowing those people.
Hold on. It's the reason. It's the reason. Mere months after the drivers in Oregon got the green light to pump their own gas, one of the state's biggest labor unions is trying to ban self-serve again. Quote, for decades, Oregon stood shoulder to shoulder with New Jersey as the last bastions of resistance to self-serve gas. The Beaver State should restore its historic alliance with the Garden State in defense of jobs and accessibility. That is the petition promoted by the United Food and Commercial Workers, Local 555.
This is why we can't have robots doing anything in them factories, because it puts good, hardworking Americans out of work.
Yes. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek signed a bill in July allowing drivers across the state to choose between filling their own gas tank or having an attendant do it for them. Gas stations are still required to staff at least half of their pumps under the new law for drivers who want an attendant to fill their tank. The law took effect immediately and left New Jersey as the only state prohibiting drivers from pumping their own gas. I have never had anyone pump my gas for me. I would freak out. That would cause me anxiety.
I wouldn't with my current car, but I've had cars that I've done it with. There's actually, and the funny thing is like Wisconsin has been a self-serve state for a very, 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 very long time. And we do still have full service gas stations in places. There's one here in town. It's right up the road from me. And it's a mobile station. And there is a pump that if you drive up, it does a little ding, 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 ding thing. And then a guy will come out and he'll pump your gas for you. If that's what you want to do, you still have that option. All this law did is just give them the choice, right? It just gave them the choice. And because it's ridiculous that it was illegal to pump your own gas. Like just that concept is mind blowing.
I figure it's a Darwinism to pump you have to pump your own gas. It's a Darwinism. But then if you have to pump your own gas, then you get the cool videos and the photographs of like the most recent one to pop up is the girl filling her tank with the
DEF.
The DEF.
Oh my god.
The diesel exhaust fuel.
That's gonna go well.
Woo!
I don't actually know what that would even do.
There's a TikTok video. I don't know if it's fake or not, but like it shows her and she has the green diesel handle, and she goes, "But it's green." It's green.
So like there's a video somewhere out there, and I saw it years ago of like this car driving down the road, and it is just basically smoke screening the entire highway. And it gets pulled over, and it turns out it's because this woman put diesel into her fuel tank. And the funny thing is technically a car could run on diesel, even though it's internal combustion, right? Regular internal combustion engine. It could run diesel, not well, and it's going to ruin it, but it'll do it for a while, and you just got to replace a few things. If, however, you are driving a diesel vehicle and you put regular gasoline in, bye-bye motor. That's game over. Have you seen that picture of it's like the around the gas cap of somebody that has like it's like a TDI VW and it's like taped around it. It says diesel for the love of God, Catherine, diesel.
Yes. Let's see. UFCW. That's the United. Where is it? United Food and Commercial Workers. The United Food and Commercial Workers Local 555 recently launched a state initiative petition that would repeal the law and ban all self-serve gas, including in rural Oregon, counties where drivers have been allowed to fuel up on their own at night for nearly a decade. Motorcycles would still be allowed to pump their own gas under the proposed measures, but an attendant would have to hand them the nozzle.
That is the dumbest fucking thing I have ever heard in my life. Okay, well, you can fill up your motorcycle, but only if I hand you the nozzle. That is a 3-foot process.
Hold on. Give me one. Give me 2 paragraphs. UFCW Local 555 represents more than 30,000 workers in retail, manufacturing, and healthcare. It claims allowing people to pump their own gas has resulted in safety issues, layoffs, and less accessible pumps. Hold on. Quote, this bill is a clear favoritism for big oil companies over the interest of workers. UCFF Local 555 President Dan Clay said in a statement with the law passed, quote, while some Oregonians may experience marginal convenience, the underlying motivation is just a corporate giveaway that adds a burden to disabled drivers and undermines the safety and welfare of workers.
Disabled drivers.
Right. It doesn't say that they can't, that attendees can't do it, right? It doesn't ban attendees. It just says, hey, you don't have to use the attendee.
Yeah.
That's all it says.
That's it. It's, and that's one of those things like for me too, like it was a shock here in Wisconsin when like Quick Trip decided to make all of their pumps either pay at the pump or prepay only, because that was not a thing until very, very recently. Like the majority of gas stations in the area, you could pump the gas and then go in and pay for it.
Yes.
And so like that was a weird change. I cannot even imagine having to have someone pump the gas for me. Like there are so many cars out there that I can think of where you really need to know what you're doing to pump the gas, that I would be utterly terrified.
Yes.
To let someone do it. And like even my car, like it's not super special about it, but like I would be pretty freaking scared to let anyone else touch it. Like
especially like if you and I were hanging out, right, it'd be different, right? Because you know me, you trust me, it wouldn't be a real issue. But like just some stranger, some middle-aged or some some minimal income attendee just standing there by the pumps, clicking on his phone, waiting for someone to pull up so they can pump the gas. No. I was fairly old before the first time I ever actually encountered like a non-self-serve pump, and it was odd as hell. Yeah.
Like I was like, what is happening? Why is this? What? And it's my car. Like okay, so they're worried about like say people who are in wheelchairs who have hand controls for their car, right? Like that's their excuse. Except that there are tons of people in tons of self-serve states who are perfectly capable of finding. Yeah, they're perfectly capable of finding a place that has a full service pump that they can pull up to and get gas if necessary, or they have someone with them who pumps the gas for them.
Yes. But I mean this is like the old you hear the adage a lot when the automobile became a thing, right? And people are like, oh, you're gonna put the horse-drawn carriage out of work, right? We need to ban vehicles, right? You know, in order to keep the horse-drawn carriages working, right? The horse wranglers, right? And it's the same thing with like with the rideshare programs, right? Oh, you guys are putting taxi drivers out of work. We have to ban you.
Yeah, and they said it about robotics existing in manufacturing, and they said it about computers.
They say this
said
about self-checkout now also.
Yeah, you're putting all these people out of work.
And then Babylon Bee had a really funny article about people that use the self-checkout now have to self-unload the trucks. Yeah. I thought that was pretty
mean, how many of us though, like if I could just have deliveries, scheduled deliveries to my house of all of my groceries, like just have the truck just show up and here you go. Like think like Schwann's, like how many people use Schwann's all the time, right? For their groceries.
That'd be fantastic.
Wildly expensive, but delicious. But either way, like
mobile butcher service.
I mean, how many people use DoorDash? How many people use Instacart, right? Like all the freaking time for the groceries and everything else. That would be fantastic. But that's the thing is like there was probably that argument when grocery stores revolutionized where no longer did you hand your order to the attendant who then got you everything and gave it to you. Now you went into the shop and you picked everything out. And then paid for it. Oh, you're going to put some of these attendees of the grocery stores out of a job.
Yeah, the runners.
Yeah. Or when when they started doing home delivery of mail, because a lot of people don't realize that up until literally halfway through the American Civil War, you had to go to the post office to pick up your mail. Home delivery was not a thing. It was, in fact, all of the mail to and from the front lines of the Civil War battles that created the need for that home delivery service. But I'm sure when that happened, you're going to put all these attendees at the post offices out of work. Remember when Staples wanted to do that private mail courier service, and instead of just going, we're going to compete, the post office protested.
Well, yeah, Lysander Spooner, he started his own mail service, and the government sued him and was like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, like this is a thing that happens again and again and again, where these people who don't have any skills, don't have any education, don't have any desire to get those things, proceed to complain that human progress is going to ruin their jobs.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Okay.
I mean, we remember, right? We all remember when the .com revolution happened and the computer revolution truly took off, right? And the birth of the information age.
Oh my God. That's also the argument now is they're putting print newspapers out of service, right? They're putting paper boys, delivery drivers out of service. Right.
Well, yeah, and it's ignoring the fact that because it's broken window fallacy, right? That's what it is. It's broken window fallacy. What it actually is that it's freeing up labor from doing a menial task to doing something.
I got Nancy Pelosi. I got Nancy Pelosi in the back of my head. Learn to code. Oh,
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like it didn't, that the computer revolution didn't hurt the economy. It didn't put millions of people out of work. It gave millions of people new jobs, new possibilities. It gave technology a leap. And now instead of having to waste thousands and thousands of man hours on maintaining paper,
that's the issue. If Ireland just had if in Ireland people weren't allowed to pump their own gas and they had to have some military age migrant refugee stand there and pump their gas for them, then there wouldn't be an issue, right?
They'd all have jobs.
They'd all have jobs. Yep. Because it's all an economics issue. Totally, just all an economics.
It's so ridiculous, and the sad thing is because this is a union and where it is, right? It's in the state of Oregon, the United Soviet Socialist Republic of Oregon, because it's there. you know that there is an actual possibility that they will get this law passed.
Yes. The USSO.
It's, I mean, you know, when you look at that and it's like, you know, Oregon, Washington, and they mention, I love that they mention New Jersey. Ah, yes, because that's such a paragon of economic prosperity, the state of New Jersey.
I like how I said they stood shoulder to shoulder with New Jersey.
That is not a place you want to be.
It's really hard to stand shoulder to shoulder with New Jersey and Oregon.
No one wants to stand shoulder to shoulder with New Jersey. That's why only Oregon did. And the fact that you're proud of it says that you may be mentally ill.
Oh, okay. Marvin Guy, who shot a cop during a no-knock raid, is found guilty of murder. Hold on. Did you read this one?
I didn't actually read it. I saw it and it pissed me off.
Okay. Okay. A jury in Texas on Tuesday. So this is from the 21st. So this is last week. Jury in Texas on Tuesday convicted a man of murdering a local police officer in a case that pitted no-knock raids against the right to self-defense. Marvin Guy, who waited in jail over 9 years before his trial, was found guilty of murdering Detective Charles Dinwiddie, Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie. Charles Dinwiddie. I'm going to have so much fun saying that word. Charles Dinwiddie, whom Guy said he mistook for an intruder after a SWAT team in 2014, smashed his bedroom window and tried to break into his home with a battering ram during a 5:45 a.m. drug raid. The panel declined, however, to convict him of capital murder and instead opted for murder, meaning that they did not agree, at least not unanimously, that Guy knew he was shooting at law enforcement. Hold on, there's some details in here. The raid was the product of a no-knock warrant, which police pursued in response to a tip that Guy had been dealing cocaine, and which allowed them to break into Guy's apartment without first identifying themselves. Right, you following me so far?
Right, which means he had no idea who these people are.
5:45 a.m. They acted on a tip, not evidence. They acted on a tip. On May 9, 2014, before the sun rose, about 24 officers arrived at Guy's residence. The team struggled to fully penetrate the door with their battering ram. Something was blocking it from behind. One officer accidentally detonated his stun grenade, inflaming what was already a raid rapidly gone awry. Guy, who lived in a high crime area, said he was woken up and assumed the police were criminals trying to break into his home. He had allegedly been on edge about such a situation after one of his neighbors had reportedly been victimized similarly a week before, when an intruder choked her after forcing entry by the way of her first floor window. Guy allegedly hit 4 officers, killing Dinwiddie, prompting the police to fire over 40 rounds in return. The prosecutors, however, theorized that Guy had somehow come to know that the police were coming in, and that he'd set up a trap to, quote, ambush them.
Miraculously, he somehow knew. He's a master criminal who has people inside the police department that are on the take.
Yes. Quote, one man's ambush is another man's panic, being scared his home is being broken into, countered John Evans, Guy's defense attorney. Key to the defense witness was the frenzied circumstances characteristic of many no-knock raids, namely that it was set in motion without warning and before dawn, when the target is likely to be disoriented. A witness for the government testified the first day that during such raids, it was department policy to shine a light into the home so police could see in, but the subject couldn't see out. Prosecution concluded the case with testimony from Dinwiddie's widow, in what effectively became a victim impact statement. I'm not going to read all that because that's stupid.
It's ridiculous too, because they use this victim impact statement basically in the case, even though it has no relevance, right? It has no actual relevance whatsoever. It should have been excluded.
Yes. Killian Police Department Commander Scott Meads, who conducted an administrative review of the raid and identified several tactical errors and concerns, including that the officers were confused over the department's layout. Texas has the castle doctrine, the legal principle that someone that entitles someone to stand their ground in their home if it is perceived a daily threat. That protection evaporates, however, if the person is engaged in illegal activity. Law enforcement allegedly found traces of white powder on Guy's apartment floor, in his car, and in the trash, though the government did not charge him with a drug crime.
Never charged with a drug crime, no knock raided before dawn in a high crime area without them identifying themselves. And he's still convicted of murder. Why? Because Texas.
Guy, who was held on a $4 million bond and whose trial was delayed multiple times due to his poor health, the COVID-19 pandemic, defense attorneys leaving or being terminated, and arguments with district attorney's office over obtaining evidence. We'll find out his fate next week at sentencing. Prosecutors originally wanted the death penalty, but they agreed to drop that last year in order to expedite the almost decade-long pre-trial process. Yes.
Even if he had, and here's the sad thing, he spent 9 years as it is. 9 years.
May 9, 2014.
So even if he had been acquitted,
9.5 years at this point.
Even if he had been acquitted, it would have just been 9 years of his life gone.
Yes. And he's already in poor health.
Yeah, he's already in poor health. He's probably not going to survive much longer, realistically, in prison, because people generally don't.
Yep.
And because he shot at an intruder in his home who did not identify themselves as law enforcement, even if they had, I would argue that he should still be able to, because again, he was never charged with a crime. They did not have any evidence. There was no exigent circumstances, nothing. They had a single tip. This is exactly why there's an increasing call in Congress to ban federally no-knock raids.
Yes. And they did not. All they found was traces of an alleged white powder.
Of a white powder, which could have been flour. It could have been
not enough to charge him. Not enough to charge him.
It could have been baby formula. A lot of white powders out there.
But because of a tip, not evidence, but because of a tip, they got a warrant that he was selling, even though they did not know the apartment's layout. Yeah, so there's that. I don't think we need to go into that one anymore.
It's freaking. It's beating a dead horse every time we talk about him, but it's like this is what keeps happening. And again, the reason he's convicted, right? Like, let's be honest, the reason that he got convicted is because it was in Texas.
Yep.
Because he shot a cop and it was in Texas, and that's all that most of the juries in Texas ever need to hear, because everything's bigger in Texas.
All they need is Texas and drugs. That's all. That's all you have to say. Oh, he was selling drugs. He's not charged with selling drugs, but the warrant was because he was selling drugs.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's the thing, is like Texas laws. We're about freedom. No, you're not. You never have been.
Nope. No, never have been. But there was a segue here. I forgot what it was. Stand your ground.
Standing your ground, even
Second Amendment.
Please.
Second Amendment.
Yeah.
We'll segue on the Second Amendment. Second Amendment, stand your ground. One of the things that the anti-gunners, gun grabbers always complain about the Second Amendment. Oh, it only applies to the militia. You're not a member of the militia, right? Holton Township, Michigan, establishes its own militia to protect the Second Amendment and declare it will not enforce new red flag laws restricting gun ownership.
Oh, I bet that's making Whitmer real happy.
Woo! Yes. A Michigan township has established its own militia to protect the Second Amendment rights of its 2,500 citizens. Holton Township in Muskegon County passed a Second Amendment resolution establishing itself as a, quote, Second Amendment sanctuary. The resolution included an addendum establishing their very own militia. Under the changes, all legal residents or primary residents within Holton now have the opportunity to join the militia, but must adhere to the federal firearms checks. Okay,
Lame.
that's lame. The town said they are adopting policies, quote, necessary for the security and the rights of Holton Township residents.
It's freaking awesome.
Yes. Quote, the people of Holton Township, through their duly elected members of the Holton Township Board, hereby designate Holton Township as a Second Amendment sanctuary in order to preserve for the people of, on and in Holton Township, the inalienable rights guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America, the resolution reads. The Holton Township Board hereby declares its intent to oppose any infringement on the rights of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. We, the people of Holton Township, hereby declare our inalienable rights, our freedom, and our liberty as guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America. The amendment laid out conditions for residents wishing to join the militia. Residents must be over 18, pass federal firearms background check, state and open social media, or by letting or by letter that they wish to join the militia. The addendum also says that the township will not acknowledge any new laws that are associated with red flag laws.
It's only for the militia. Okay, well, then we're going to found our own militia. You can't do that.
Yes. I'm just saying that is absolutely fantastic. That should happen everywhere.
Yeah, more places should do it. Like, don't just, we're a Second Amendment sanctuary. Create a militia that is dedicated to defending that fact.
Yes. Here in California, Cottonwood, Shasta County, Cottonwood built its own militia, and then the Cottonwood militia, with the help of a couple of other locals, literally took over through the election process, Shasta County, and through all the gun grabbers and the global homos and all the Democrats, literally out of the county commission, out of the county positions, over COVID protocols. So I'm just saying, it's possible. It works.
Yeah. The progressives want to yell and scream about democracy. Well, that's democracy at work.
Democracy at work, yeah. It's not democracy. What's happening in Ireland?
Yeah, that's not democracy, because even though more than three quarters of the population oppose what's going on, Dala just keeps going, nope, don't care. And then they want to condemn the protesters, not the person who stabbed children in broad daylight.
Let's see. Township resolve policies. All legal residents with primary residence. Okay. Any resident over 18. Any resident cannot pass a. Let's see. From this date forward hereafter, all items listed below are protected from any federal, executive, county, or state regulations for the protection of Holton County townships. All firearms in which the stock hits the shoulder are legal by federal law as of 3/27/2021. This includes all semi-automatic rifles and shotguns, all pistols and handguns that are legal by federal law as of 3/27/2021. This includes all semi-automatic handguns and pistols, all ammunition that is legal. This includes any current caliber. This includes any ammunition and quantity of ammunition that is intended for self-defense and or hunting. This also protects the right of the people to reload their own ammunition. All accessories that are legal. This includes stocks, grips, optics, magazines, clips, and suppressors. All body armor that is legal. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I hate that's legal part of it, but it should just say all whatever, because the Second Amendment wasn't about what was legal.
Yes.
Because if that's what it was, Second Amendment effectively no longer exists. I love that the last quote in this article It doesn't mince words, and I hope it sends a message to what can best be described as the authoritarian control freaks who see it as their job to forcibly disarm their fellow citizens. That's from County Commissioner Josh Blake.
You ready to start the 4 Mile militia?
I mean, you know, the funny thing is where 4 Mile's located, where that club is located, is far enough out in the middle of nowhere that I think there's an adjacent, like, open set of land that you could potentially buy and then build a gun range on and have strippers and guns in one place, which would be awesome. all things that go bang.
It's a high-speed fuck you. Oh, I need that on a shirt. It's just in a heart, right? all things that go bang and send a high-speed fuck you. I need that on a shirt, just inside the heart on a shirt. We could sell
the thing.
The 4 Mile logo.
I mean, that's the thing, though, is like that's what the Second Amendment protects, right? Like, it doesn't make any distinction about if it's technologically relevant currently or anything else. It simply says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's it. Yep. It makes no distinction. When people are like, oh, but I mean, not weapons of war, right? Literally, primarily weapons of war is what the Second Amendment is about. It's not about hunting. It's not really about self-defense. It's about weapons of war.
Did you watch the video that I posted in the group chat that Reed Hendricks put out today? Reed Hendricks, Valor Ridge, down there in Tennessee. That's Patriot Nurse's husband. He was a instructor at with James what's his face, and then he started dating Patriot Nurse and had to leave because of company policy, whatever it is. But he put out he's a former cop and a former history teacher. And he's a constitutional absolutionist. Yes.
Hence former cop.
Yes.
You can't be a current cop and be pro-constitution. It just doesn't work.
Yes. I'll drop that one in the group chat. I'll drop one in that one in the Anarchy Among Friends one also. But watch that one after we get off. You'll like that one. Yeah, it's him sitting in the woods with the 30-30 lever action.
Nice.
James Yeager, tactical response. That's where he was an instructor.
Ah, okay.
Popped in the head, so. So yeah. Yes. On that note, also, Daniel Bayaga, Vermont, right? You know, he ran that shooting school in northern Vermont that they literally passed a state law to ban militia training because of him. Yeah. He has given in and is letting inspectors onto his property to show that he has complied with their rulings.
Pussy.
Yeah, so I should have declared himself a Second Amendment sanctuary. I'm just saying. Yep. So. Yep. Got anything else?
Remember, kids, if your politicians are serious, claim to be serious about being a Second Amendment sanctuary, they will found a militia.
Yes.
The thing is based on what that guy said too, I think he fully understands the implication of a Second Amendment sanctuary militia.
Yeah, this is you know, Western Michigan, right? He's on the lake. It's a little bit rural. He's, I think, like 20 minutes from a major city. So he absolutely knows the ramifications of what he's saying. Right. He knows what's in his neighborhood, right? In his backyard.
And it's not, I mean, like the implication of you having a militia to protect the rights of people of the Second Amendment, you know who that militia is being formed to protect against.
Yes. Yes. Just saying that
that is ballsy. Like that is real ballsy.
But that's a conversation that has to happen, especially after the last 3 years. That's a conversation that absolutely has to happen, and people are afraid to have that conversation, especially in light of everything that's happening, in places that we shouldn't care about.
Yeah.
In places that we do care about.
I mean, I saw here.
Yeah, I saw New York City in 2022. New York City lost $4.4 billion to theft, to serial commercial real theft of goods from retail.
Yeah, because the cops won't do anything, and the loss prevention people are legally forbidden from basically stepping in.
So it is here in California too. A guy in Southern California defended himself from follow home robbers, and then the sheriff was like, "Okay, yeah, we have to take your concealed carry permit now." And they said, "Oh, it's standard procedure. We have to take it, and then if the evidence shows that he didn't break the law, then we'll give it back." That's not how it's supposed to work.
That's not how the Second Amendment is. Like that's not the right that you have. Because remember, the Second Amendment doesn't give you a right; it just enumerates it.
Not only that, but I'm not supposed to show you why I need a concealed carry permit. You're supposed to show me why I shouldn't have one. Right? That's what the law is supposed to be. And they're like, "Oh no, well, you used it to defend your wife and your infant from these violent follow home burglars. We're gonna take your permit from you." So now, and because it went public, because it's public information, because
everybody knows he's vulnerable.
He's unarmed. So, yes. Let's see, the Midway bar out that way that was for sale was with like 200 attached acres. Oh boy.
I think I've been to the Midway bar. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Been a while since I've been out there. It's a long drive out there. I think the last time I went out there was because I'd been to like a bunch of bars here in town, just had a ton of ones stacking up from breaking 20s and 10s and stuff, and realized I had like $100 in ones, and I was like, hey, you know where we should go?
No, that's what we need. That's what we need, Andrew. We've decided we need. I have a lottery ticket in my drawer. We'll buy a bar with a pole,
and turn it into a
and then right next door we'll have a gun store with a range.
In Vegas there's the Strip Gun Club, which is a strip club and gun range that you can rent machine guns, and then after you fire a few belts through a belt-fed machine gun, you can go get a lap dance. Which is freaking awesome. Their Instagram is a hell of a follow too, because they have the girls I was shooting and stuff, and it's just these little tiny things with these like 240 Bravos just bump, 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 bump. It's great. Or they're firing like the 50 recoil in more than one way.
You see Kentucky Ballistics with Houston Jones? I did not yet.
Although
he put Houston Jones through the gauntlet of his largest rifles. and then Houston Jones on his channel replaced or put different objects on the recoil pad, and then shot a single barrel 12 gauge. One of the ones is he taped Legos to the recoil pad and then shot the single shot 12 gauge.
Oh no! Ow!
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh, that's terrible.
Houston Jones is a fucking nut.
But speaking of gun YouTubers, Poppins Patches has a new patch coming out. A Flannel Daddy
patch, and he also has the what is it? The Mihai The Mihai Pikachu one, that's the last of their the Pokemon Samurai one.
Yeah, the Meiji from the Meiji Restoration. Yeah, it's the if you've seen Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, it is a wildly historically inaccurate portrayal of the end of the samurai era
and
the Meiji Restoration.
The kind of the start of the Meiji Restoration. Meiji was Emperor Meiji. He's portrayed as the young leader in The Last Samurai. He's the one that Tom Cruise is kneeling before at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So he's the one, Meiji, he's Emperor Meiji. He's the one that took Japan out of isolationism and turned it into a world power at the time.
Well, I mean, technically, the United States showing up outside his palace with a bunch of gunboats pointing cannons at his face and saying, "You're going to open up trade to us, or we're going to blow you to Kingdom Come," is probably what opened up Japan to trade.
It's a start. He could have said no.
He did. Yeah. He did end feudalism, though. He'd largely ended, even before that, he'd largely ended feudalism, which is where the samurai come in and why the samurai were blah blah blah. But yeah, I could do an entire show on the Meiji Restoration, and I'm not even a weeb.
So he did he's got a Meiji patch, and then he has a Flannel Daddy patch coming out.
Yes, I want that one.
Yes,
I want that one. Dave was supposed to send me some patches for us to give away. I haven't gotten them yet.
And there's the Pikachu Meiji patch.
Well, Raichu, but yeah, it's the same difference.
Whatever. God damn it.
Raichu's technically the next evolution of Pikachu. It's not important, but
fucking nerds.
I only know that because there are so many people around me who are into Pokemon. I've never been into Pokemon.
And Andrew's the guy that goes to the strip club and plays Pokemon.
I wonder what Pokemon you'd find in a strip. Really, strip clubs should be gyms, I think, for Pokemon Go. Yeah.
Lindsay drops you off with a Lunchable, and you just activate Pokemon Go and walk around the strip club.
I'm not even into Pokemon Go, but I would.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not even into Pokemon at all, but that sounds like a good afternoon.
Drop shop with the Lunchable and a stack of $1 bills.
Hey, I got there's a 10 in it for you if you can go ahead and go get me that. I don't know, Squirtle, I guess. It's one Pokemon, okay? It's not like I know a bunch of their names or could identify most of them. I just know Pikachu and Raichu because I go into PopCon a lot. All right, leave me alone.
Yes.
And I go into PopCon because it has cool sodas.
All right, throw out some links. Let's get out of here, man.
Oh, so as you're talking about with the new Flannel Daddy patch and stuff, make sure you check out popinspatches.com. It's going to be still abolish ATF, I believe, for 15% off from there. He's got all sorts of cool patches.
He's got tons of other stuff. A pretty good Cyber Monday deal also, if I remember right.
Probably, yeah, I'm sure he probably does. Also check out thebeardstruggle.com, code Inked Anarchist for your discount there. There's all the stuff's in our link tree. Use those, and you can check out what else we got. We got, if Spookware is still out there, Spookware. We have Lions Not Sheep, Reaper brand apparel, discounts for all that stuff. Coffee brand coffee from the Quartering, we got discount on that. All sorts of cool stuff for you to check out, and it's all in our link tree. And check it out and save yourself some money and support places that support the channel, man. We appreciate it, and they appreciate it, and that's why we have occasionally cool stuff to give away and things, is because you guys support that stuff.
Yep. Yes. Anything else?
I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. Anybody else wants to sponsor us, please do.
No. Conor McGregor for Prime Minister. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Peace.